Oh! Definitely meant to do that. I'm looking at my hands like Spider-Man. Strathat is a free arena shooter. The gameplay is fast, fluid, and fun. Oh, did I mention it was free? This feels impossible to overemphasize. If you have a Steam account, you can download and play this game right now. It really doesn't matter how outdated your hardware is, I'm confident your computer can run Strathat. So confident, in fact, I actually built a time machine and traveled back to 1969 to try running the game off of one of their computers. And you know what? It ran at a solid 60 frames per second the whole time, even going off of 1 kilobit of RAM and an 8-bit CPU.
I want that fan from this arcade!
Once you have the game installed, it's super easy to find an opponent. You just click on Host. You fiddle around with the lobby settings until they're to your liking. Somebody joins, you both hit ready up. You both hit ready up. You both hit ready. Okay, there you go. The game hits you with a 1-second loading screen, and congratulations, you're in a match. Go find a weapon. Strathat can also be played in multiple formats. My personal favorite is this 1v1 mode, since it's the most similar to a fighting game. But you can also do 2v2 team deathmatch or free-for-all mode if you want to just fully embrace chaos. Oh, we gotta hit the vending machines. One more poke and I would have had you.
Okay, I see that you showed him what fur. Where's the other one?
He was hiding in the dumpster.
Oh, was he?
That felt psychotic. I'm sorry. Get him! I can't aim with my friend's blood on my hands. It's the gun's slippery. Throughout all of these different modes, the basic premise of the game stays the same. Shoot your opponent before they shoot you. It sounds simple, right? The game is simple in all the ways it should be. All of the depth is saved for the actual gameplay, which is just such a breath of fresh air. There's no classes, no skill trees, no loadouts, no Fortnite battle pass, no gun upgrades, no attachments. If you want a gun, you load into a match and find one laying on the ground the way God intended. And you better pick it up fast, because whoever gets their gun first usually wins the round. And for that reason, movement is actually a huge part of the skill expression in Strathat. Not only does moving fast feel great, it also makes it tougher for your opponent to shoot you, just like real life. Despite that, I don't think it's fully accurate to call Strathat a movement shooter. I promise, movement is not the only factor separating good players from the stinkies, and I'll tell you why. From what I understand, most of these guns become noticeably less accurate whenever you're in midair or sprinting. If you want maximum accuracy, you want to be leaning, walking, sliding, which are all much slower options than bee-hopping and wall bouncing around the map. Sliding does let you move fast and shoot accurately at the same time, but it maintains its status as a risky option since it locks you into moving a singular direction for a little bit. And it's also pretty loud. If your opponent's wearing headphones, they can actually get a pretty good idea of where you are if they hear your butt sliding around. All this to say, even if someone has godlike movement, they're almost always forced to put themselves at some level of risk in order to run their offense on you, which gives newer players a lot more chances to actually return fire. And even if you don't end up winning that gunfight, it feels a lot less demoralizing than instantly dying to some veteran player you didn't even see because they were zipping around the top of the map at like Mach 10. And even if that does end up happening, which is certainly possible, the next round starts up so quickly you don't really have time to get mad about it. Plus, each new round puts you into a random map from a pool of like 350 maps. That's not an exaggeration. This makes the skill gaps feel much less abrasive to the lower skill player, despite the ceiling still being very high. The more skilled player will always win the match, as it should be, but it still manages to feel winnable for that losing player, if that makes sense. Anytime I lose a round, I instantly start thinking about what I could have done better, and then 5 seconds later I get to try out my new strategy. However, I will warn you, all of these factors combined can motivate people to speak a very dangerous phrase, one I'm sure many of you watching this have even uttered yourselves. One more game. Just one more game, and then I'll hop off. If you happen to be watching this video instead of just listening to it, you may have noticed me fighting a lot of the same opponents over and over again. And I promise that is not for clip farming purposes. People tend towards endless rematching in this game, which was a big surprise to me. I have to admit, when I first installed STRAFTAT, I was expecting the player base to be kind of a toxic hellhole. It's a free online first-person shooter with a point system, so every time you lose a game, you lose points, and you can watch that number go down. That can do funny things to people's brains. From all my previous experience, I figured that the combination of possibly bruised egos plus the ability to say literally whatever you want through the game's text chat and voice chat features would result in Flint, Michigan tap water levels of toxicity. But every single person I have run into has been super cool. I'm not kidding, I've made like 6 new Steam friends from playing this game and just running into random cool people. One of those guys is a top 300 STRAFTAT player who took the time to show me how you can throw barrels at people to disarm them, and later I got to pass the torch and teach barrel tech to another player who was even newer than me. And it felt great. I'm usually the first person to say if something sounds too good to be true, it is. But STRAFTAT is an exception. It's easily the most fun I've had with an FPS game since Titanfall 2, and it costs $0. It's super easy to pick up, but challenging enough to actually engage your brain. I really don't have a bad thing to say about it. I guess the visuals could turn some people off of this game. The player models are these weird-looking bald guys, but as a weird-looking bald guy myself, it's nice to finally have some representation, damn it. Easiest game recommendation of my life. Play STRAFTAT, or I'll tattle on you. Voluoom is a game I have a much harder time describing, despite how much I love it. I actually discovered both of these games through one of my viewers in the Seth Like Jeff Discord by the name of BlueNip. Thanks, BlueNip. Voluoom is a parkour speedrunning game, or an adventure game, depending on how you want to play it. It was made by these same 2 developers behind STRAFTAT, and it's also free. It's currently only available to play in demo form on Steam, but it will release as a full game on August 21st of this year. The closest things I could compare the gameplay to would be like a mixture of CSGO surfing and Mirror's Edge speedrunning. Every mechanic in this game is centered around generating and maintaining speed. You can run, slide, jump, and wall run. That's it. When I put it into words like that, this game kinda sounds like less than nothing, and yet I've played this game twice as much as I've played STRAFTAT, if not more. And I'll do my best to explain why. For starters, the movement feels like liquid gold. It is the fastest and smoothest first-person platformer I've ever played. That was more than enough for me to get on board, but I also really love the world they have created for this game. I've never seen anything quite like it. You play as Robert, a man on a quest through this vast, derelict capital of Afro-Eurasia. The atmosphere of this city is indescribable. It's almost liminal, but not quite. It feels calm, but not relaxing at all. It's bleak and imposing. It's downright ugly, but I love looking at it. It feels wrong to call it ugly with how often I end a run just to stop and admire the scenery. A pretty big aspect of what makes Voluoom so appealing to me is the music and the sound effects. The talented artist behind the soundtrack goes by the name 1000 Eyes. You may know them from their work on the Signalis soundtrack. The main gameplay loop for most people is trying to get the fastest time that you can on all the maps, and the best way to do that is by practicing them over and over again, mastering the fundamentals of your own movement as well as using that newfound speed to create shortcuts. I found quite a few just by experimenting around on my own, but I was having a lot of trouble with the end section of this racetrack map. The route I was initially taking was the safe route over these platforms, since it avoids the giant death pit over there on the left. But I would usually have to slow myself down a bit to avoid falling between them, so I was having a lot of trouble beating my personal best time, and I was grinding the map a lot in multiplayer mode, trying to figure it out. And by random chance, a player by the name of Zefirka, who happens to have been holding the record for the 11th fastest racetrack run of all time, saw me restarting the run a bunch of times and asked if I wanted help or advice or anything. This game also has open text chat, not open voice chat, but it's still full of some of the nicest gamers I've ever interacted with. I took Zefirka up on the offer and asked them how to clear the giant pit room that was killing all my speed. And they showed me how you could basically clear the entire pit in a single jump if you had enough speed built up from the room before. This game feels built for these kinds of interactions, since there's a built-in live spectate mode inside of multiplayer. After practicing what Zefirka showed me and incorporating it into my run, I finally got a new best time. But if you're listening to this and the prospect of grinding for a new personal best time doesn't really appeal to you, this game has another really intriguing aspect that might still make it worth trying out. Voluoom can be enjoyed completely as an exploration game. At time of writing, nothing in the game requires you to get gold medals on any of the maps. There are actually secret maps in this game that you can only unlock through exploring. I remember the first time I got bored and tried going out of bounds on racetrack. I'd missed a jump I needed for my PB and figured, hey, the run is screwed anyway, might as well go look for some invisible walls to crash into. But I never found one. Instead, there was more city. And this. I realized that that giant tower in the middle of the track wasn't just this decorative 3D structure in the sky with no collision. If I wanted to, I could climb to the very top of this thing. After realizing this, I went adventuring around on all the other maps looking for secrets. Every time I thought I'd found myself somewhere the developers never intended me to be, I found evidence to the contrary almost immediately. I'll never forget the first time I discovered Gerard. On the jungle map, if you have the curiosity to jump into the window of this little apartment building near the spawn, you'll see Gerard sitting there in his iconic bathtub. There are secrets everywhere in this demo, and you really have to go out of your way to find some of them. They're great rewards for players who want to explore this strange world that the devs have created. Since Strathat and Voluoom are both free games, I've been recommending them to just about everybody within earshot. Friends, family members, strangers at the gas station, even my coworkers. For context, I work in an office building where there are typically 2 desk setups per room, and I share my office space with my coworker, Max. Max and I are always talking about video games because we're both huge nerds. And when I discovered Strathat, I had the brilliant idea to pitch it to him, because I knew he was an FPS enjoyer, just like me. A lot of our gaming conversations would inevitably circle back to Destiny, Halo, or Call of Duty, since we both played those games all throughout our formative years. I yapped up and down to Max telling him all about Strathat, and briefly mentioned that these same devs were making a cool demo that I was enjoying a lot. At the time, and now, I was having a lot of trouble just describing what genre this can even fit into and why I loved it so much, but it didn't matter. Before I knew it, he was grinding out gold medals during our lunch break. He ended up really liking Voluoom. I really wasn't expecting this outcome, but as far as I know, he still hasn't even touched Strathat. This taught me two things. Firstly, don't judge a book by its cover, even though that's exactly what book covers are there for in the first place. Secondly, it made me realize that Voluoom isn't appealing despite its strange premise and presentation. The strange presentation is what makes the game so interesting and special in the first place. It's not a game for everyone, it's not trying to be, but it's also not exclusively designed for freaks like me who spent their entire youth being obsessed with parkour and freerunning. If you made it this far in the video, thank you. I really hope you consider giving at least one of these games a try. They're both free, with tiny file sizes that will run smoothly on any computer, on top of being extremely fun. Having all four of those things is almost unheard of in today's gaming industry. Discovering these developers and their work helped me feel a bit less cynical about the direction of video games overall, and I hope they inspire similar feelings of hope in all of you out there as well. Thanks for watching. If any of you viewers out there would like to lose a 1v1 to me in Strathat, or lose a race with me in Voluoom, you can! If you think that sounded overly cocky, that's because it was. Feel free to prove me wrong though, I just added matchmaking rules for both of these games in the Seth Like Jeff Discord. If by some miracle this is your first time seeing one of my videos, welcome to the channel! My videos are typically all about fighting games, and the next project I'm working on is no exception. Avatar Legends: The Fighting Game finally released while I was in the middle of editing this project, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. This is by far the most excited I've felt about a fighting game since a majority of the genre was purchased wholesale by the Saudi Arabian government. So look forward to that video sometime in the near future. At the end of the day, I really hope this video brings new players into Strathat and Voluoom. It's the whole reason I made it. I just think these games are fantastic, and it's borderline criminal that more people aren't talking about them and playing them. I just felt like I had some obligation to let you guys know. And if you give either of these games a try based on my recommendation, I would love to hear about it in the comment section. I do read all of your comments, so don't type anything crazy, unless you're actually crazy. Don't be a poser, I can smell that shit from a mile away with my massive yellow schnoz. That's all. See ya!